you and I will talk about one topic that a lot of us are interested in, and that is B schools that give you the best ROI. So I will take you through what is ROI. So it is but obvious that you would think of the returns that you are likely to. So education is one of the highest return activities, particularly. So when you put the data in that equation, they can still be very attractive for you. Welcome to MBA Wallah. And in this particular session, you and I will talk about one topic that a lot of us are interested in, and that is B schools that give you the best ROI. So I will take you through some of the best colleges in the country which are known for their ROI, and that alone is obviously not sufficient here. You also want to get into that college. So I will also give you a glimpse of what it takes to get into those colleges. So let's start with one very basic, obvious, foundational question. And that question is, what is ROI? So ROI, as hopefully you know, is the return on investment, right? So whenever you choose to invest your money anywhere, you always constantly look for the benefits that you are going to get from that investment. So imagine if we put our money in stock market, in a bank fixed deposit, elsewhere, we of course constantly think in terms of the returns that we are likely to get. Similarly, when you choose to invest that money in yourself, it is but obvious that you would think of the returns that you are likely to get. So education is one of the highest return activities, particularly people who go ahead, finish their high school, finish their college are usually far more employable. Their earning potential increases. So it's definitely education overall is a high ROI category, even in businesses. Even if you were to start a business, we look at return on investment, and we typically say that any business where you reach the break-even point in 3 years is worth it. So all the money that you put into that business, if you're able to recover it all within 3 years and after that you move towards profits, that's actually quite significant. So how do we really calculate the ROI? So the basic formula that we use is net benefits divided by the total costs multiplied by 100, and that gives you your return on investment, where net benefits can actually be defined in a lot of different ways. You can define net benefits this way: expected lifetime salary with education. In this case, if you choose to do your master's in business administration from a particular college, then what is the expected lifetime salary? And if you don't go ahead and do that degree, then what the expected lifetime salary is going to be, and then you'd of course have the total costs involved. So just to give you a basic idea, since quite a few people actually nowadays even talk about the worth of doing an MBA, there are two basic stats that I'll tell you. Graduates in India have approximately 50% probability of getting placed, whereas people with MBA, that same probability jumps to around 73%. So your employability itself gets enhanced. And after that, if I look at the average packages, and I'm just looking at say some of the better colleges in the country, if I pick up the top, let's say 100, 200 colleges, you can expect around 5 to 6 lakh per annum. And I'm being generous here. Remember, some of these leading IT firms hire people for as less as at times 4 lakh per annum, 3 lakh. 3,50,000 per annum. So I'm saying this is a reasonable expectation from a graduate. Similarly, if I look at the top 100, 125 MBA colleges, that average is definitely going to be closer to 12 lakhs. So your employability gets increased, your earning potential also gets increased. But then yes, in this process, you are supposed to invest some money in your MBA. So we look at colleges that give you a significant jump in your net benefits, colleges that provide you with higher average pay packages to begin with, and then we'd also look at their course fees, the amount of money that they charge you. And let's not forget that at the end of the day, a lot of people who start working as graduates hit a glass ceiling. They work hard, they reach a particular stage in that organization, and they are not able to grow beyond that. Whereas somebody with an MBA is unlikely to face that issue. Okay. So if they are performing well, if they are competent, they can go all the way up to the C-suite. They can become a CEO, a COO, and all those things, nice little things that take you to that CXO cabin. So even in terms of that longish perspective, MBA is definitely something that is fairly advantageous. So when we talk about ROI, what is the first college that comes to your mind? Now don't share it with me yet. Let me just think. Let me try to get into your mind and then decide. Oh, I see that. You are thinking of FMS Delhi University, aren't you? I am no mind reader, but then I know that when it comes to ROI, this is the topmost college that comes to the mind of most of us. So this FMS is basically Faculty of Management Studies. It is a department in Delhi University. For that matter, a lot of other universities also have management study departments. So BHU has one, for instance. They also have an FMS. But then it has become such a strong brand that it has practically been converted into a proper noun now. So when you say FMS, people automatically think of Delhi University. So FMS at DU offers a fantastic program which has an intake of around 300 students for their MBA program. And how much do they charge for this MBA? Well, the total course fees is just 2.5 lakh rupees. In fact, this is a trend that you'd see at most of the university offered programs. But then this number is fine. What are the placements like? So the average placement at this particular college is 30 lakh rupees per annum. In fact, if you are somebody who goes into that college and performs well there, imagine if you are among the top 25% of the batch there, then this average actually jumps to 46 lakh per annum. So an absolutely amazing powerhouse of a college that is at the top of the list. And how do we really get into this particular college? Unlike a lot of other colleges where your profile plays a huge role in terms of your getting shortlisted for the next rounds, FMS is fairly straightforward. They primarily look at your CAT scores. So if your CAT percentile is great, they are going to, of course, call you. And within that CAT percentile, 40% of the weightage is given to the VARC section, whereas the DILR and QA sections get 30% each. And then once you are shortlisted for the next stage, what do you have in the next stage? There is going to be an interview. Within that interview, there will be an SOP discussion. There is going to be an extempore, right? So at that level, they are going to look at you afresh, where the 50% of the weightage will be to your CAT score. But then where is the rest of it coming from? 10% weightage to the score that you achieve in 10th. And even here things are pretty straightforward. If you have a score which is above 60% but below 75, you get 5 marks. The moment you cross 75%, you get all of these 10 marks. That's true for 10th, that's true for 12th, then 15% weightage to your interview, 10% to your SOP, 5% to your extempore. All of these three things roughly kind of happen together. So you can say that this particular stage overall gives you another 30% weightage. And if you are a girl, you'd get 5 extra marks. So that is their way of giving a push towards gender diversity, right? So if you want a rock star ROI, then this is the college that you definitely want to target. And with that, let's get into our next college. And I'm listing them in no particular order. You can do your calculations. You can think of it on the basis of your preferences, and we can definitely go ahead and talk about these. So the next college is Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. It offers a plethora of programs. One of those programs is technically an MA. It is not an MBA. It is a Masters of Arts, but it's considered an industry equivalent of an MA. So they have this program called MA in Human Resource Management and Labor Relations, HRM and LR. And for that particular program, their fees is just a shade above 2 lakh rupees. They take in 60 students for that particular program. And if you look at the placements of last year, the average package was 28.2 lakh per annum. Now, should you target this particular college? Well, that depends on whether you want to get into HR or not. So if you're clear about the specialization, this will be a college which is an automatic choice. And how do they shortlist people? Just like FMS, a large chunk of their, in fact, in almost the entire weightage is given to your CAT score, and a little bit is given to the gender diversity. And here are the stats. So 97% weightage to the CAT score and 3% for gender diversity, which makes it accessible to everyone who's willing to work hard. And once you are shortlisted, in the next round, you basically face an interview. The selection criteria would have 70% weightage given to the CAT score, whereas only 30% is given to the interview, but even that is still sizable, of course. So this was about MA in HRM and LR. They also have another very interesting program called ODCL that you can target. Okay, so ODCL is basically Organizational Development, Change and Leadership. The average placements for this particular program were around 23 lakh last year, but the fees charged was also significantly higher. I think the fees that they charged was for this program was around 8 lakh rupees. So yeah, the cost part is definitely higher. The averages are a little on the lower side, but if you're interested in management, this is definitely another program that you can apply to and consider it. So around 60 seats in MA HRMLR and around 35 seats for ODCL is what we have in TISS Mumbai. Let's move over to our next college now, which is JBIMS Mumbai, Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. They offer a program called MMS, which is their equivalent of MBA. It's a 2-year program, and in this particular program, they have around 150 seats. So there are some 120 seats meant for people with the domicile of Maharashtra. There are 18 seats that go to the All India category, and then there are these another 18 supernumerary seats. They're meant for people like NRIs, etc. So the total should be around 156 or thereabouts. And the average, and the fees that they charge is just 4,22,000 plus some change. The average placement, excellent, 26.48. How do they shortlist you? Well, the only thing that they look at is the result of the qualifying exam, which for most of us is going to be Maharashtra CET. There are times when this college does use scores of some other exams too, but that keeps on changing. One thing that I can say with certainty is that they will definitely use Maharashtra CET. Alongside that, they may use some other exams as well. So if you are somebody from Maharashtra, if you have a Maharashtrian domicile, this is a no-brainer college. Even if you belong to that All India category, you don't have a Maharashtra domicile, it's worth giving it a shot. Yes, the percentile requirement is going to be insanely high. We are talking about crossing 99.9 percentile for sure in the qualifying exam. But once you get that score, the admission is guaranteed, because even in the selection criteria, the only thing that they look at is the qualifying exam. So you are shortlisted just on the basis of the score of the written exam, and then you are called for counseling on the basis of the preferences that you have chosen while filling up the Maharashtra CET form. And if your percentile requirements are adequate, you are allotted a seat. So there is no interview. So somebody like, there are some people, I come from a fairly small town here. When I was your age, I was not very confident and comfortable in the interviews. I had to learn that game later. But here is a college that does not even have an interview, and the seat is allotted through the centralized admission process, which is generally called a counseling in our parlance. So JBIMS Mumbai, absolutely amazing. Then, have you heard of this particular place? So I talked about FMS, right? which is a Delhi University program. Now here I am talking about Department of Financial Studies, Delhi University. So it's a department once again of Delhi University, DU. It's tucked into a corner in the South Campus area, South Moti Bagh area of Delhi. Really lush green campus, small college. The total intake is around 70 seats, and they offer an MBA in finance. So just like TISS, if you are sure that you want to get into HR, uh, and then you can apply. If you're sure that you want to build a career in finance, then this is going to be an absolutely amazing program where the fees that they charge is 3 lakhs and the average placement is a very respectable 19.12 lakh rupees, right? And what is the shortlisting criteria? Here you go. So a lion's chunk goes towards the CAT exam, then 10% weightage to 10th, 10% to 12th, and I've specifically written best of 4 because most of the IMs tell you that, hey, all the subjects which are there in your mark sheets are the ones that you calculate your percentage on the basis of. Whereas when it comes to this, they say, okay, this will take best of 4. The deal is, it is necessary for you to have taken math or business math in your 12th standard, and the score that you get specifically in this particular paper also contributes 2.5% weightage. Without this, you are not eligible to appear for or apply to this particular college. And then there is a 5% weightage given to certain streams of education. So what are those streams? Why, if you've done BCom honors, you've done a BA, BSc, then if you've done, say, B or BSc in economics, BA in business economics, if you've done a course like, say, BFIA, then you are definitely in. Then if you've done a BBA or a BMS, then those things are also, of course, considered. So that's basically what leads to another extra 5%. So you notice, BCom honors, or if you have some sort of focus on economics or some sort of focus on management, then you end up getting these extra 5% marks. And then there is some amount of marks that are given to gender diversity. And when it comes to the selection criteria, you do go through an interview, and that interview gets 25% weightage. And then you have the rest of the numbers here on your screen. So once again, MBA Finance, if you want to get into a financial institution, a private equity firm, a credit rating agency, if those are the kind of things that you dream of, make sure that you apply to Department of Financial Studies in Delhi University. Here is the next one. SJSOM IIT Bombay, Shailesh Jai Mehta College, School of Management in IIT Bombay. So a lot of people think that IITs are meant only for engineers and architects. That is not at all the case. If you have a graduation in any discipline, as long as you are a graduate, you are of course eligible. But the deal is, you need to have at least a 60% in your graduation, or if it is a CGPA, then 6.5 CGPA. Apart from that, people from any stream are absolutely welcome to pursue their masters in management from here, where the fees charged, if I compare it to the last few colleges, you see the sudden jump. We're like 15 lakh rupees. Yeah, it is a little on the higher side, but then the average placements do make up for it to a large extent. And if I talk about the shortlisting criteria, 75% weightage to the CAT, 20 to your academic profile. They'd look at your performance in school, college, and then work experience, another 5%. And when it comes to selection criteria, they will put you through an interview as well, which gets a lion's share. So CAT and interview together are 85%, and everything else is basically the remaining 15%, where if you have some postgraduate degree, then they give you a little leg up here. So that's about IIT Bombay. Then let me talk about another college. So we've talked about IIT Bombay. Why not Department of Management Studies at IIT Delhi? That also offers a 2-year full-time MBA program where they all in all take roughly around 150 to 200 students. And the fees that they charge is less than IIT Bombay, right? So they basically have an MBA program and they have an MBA in Telecom Systems Management program. The main MBA program has around 115, 125 seats. Telecom Management program has around 30 odd seats, right? And the average placement is 22.52 lakh per annum. Shortlisting criteria, 65% weightage to the CAT score. 10th, 12th graduation each get 5%. Work experience, gender diversity. If you are a graduate from Ministry of Education funded technical institution or an institute of eminence or an institute of national importance, you can find the list on their website or on the Ministry of Education website, then you get another 5% here. And when it comes to the final shortlist, final selection, I'm saying, when it comes to final selection, this drops down to 40% because we have interview. And in this particular case, they've specifically mentioned interview and extracurricular activity. And those two things are going to give you another 40%. Then 5% to 10th, 3% each to 12th and graduation, work experience. And then once again, those institutes that we've talked about or covered in our last point give you another 3%. And with that, now let me take you over to a college that maybe you've heard of it, but I'm not very sure. And that college is SIMSREE. We also know it as Sidnam. So SIMSREE is in Mumbai, and they once again offer a 2-year MBA program with around 180 seats. And their fees is very reasonable. Check that out. The average placements, once again, very respectable. See that? And just like JBIMS, this college is also in Mumbai and it also primarily uses Maharashtra CET. So the shortlisting and the final selection, they just depend on the score of the written exam and the counseling that happens afterwards, where your priorities matter, and they decide which particular college you go ahead and get an entry into. So that's SIMSREE or Sidnem in Mumbai. Then I have one more. I'm coming back to Delhi. Delhi University has quite a few stellar programs. So they have a Masters in International Business and Masters in Human Resource Development. So here are these couple of programs that are offered by Delhi School of Economics. That's the campus that they basically use. And both of them have around, both of these programs have around 90 seats each. There, I think they do reserve 4 additional supernumerary seats for the children of people who work in their college, the ward quota as we generally call it. So let's say around 180 seats in both of these programs combined. The fees is for MIB 1.15 lakhs, for MHRD 1 lakh rupees, and if you look at the average placement, MIB last year was 13.92, whereas MHRD was 13 lakhs. And once again, the caveat, international business and HR, if these are the areas that you're interested in, these are definitely excellent choices. And this is the shortlisting and selection criteria. CAT, 10th, 12th, there is no interview. Okay, so that's about MIB and MHRD Delhi. This, I think that's something that we can ignore. Then there is another college that you may not have heard of. We are looking at strictly ROIs right now. So this is college called University Business School, Chandigarh. Now, UBS is a very well-known college in the area that it operates in. So they offer a general MBA, they offer an MBA in international business, they offer an MBA in human resource development. In fact, last year, they've also started an MBA in analytics. I think they call it BDA. So right now, when I talk about UBS Chandigarh, I am talking about their MBA program and their MBA in HR program, MBA HRD. Those two are easily the best ones. Their HR program is in fact very highly reputed in that particular area, in that particular region, and the fees for both of those programs is ridiculously low. Look at that. 49,000 rupees with an average placement of 12 lakh per annum. Very respectable. Shortlisting criteria, they shortlist people only on the basis of the CAT score. And even when it comes to the selection, 85% weightage is given to the CAT score and the remaining comes from a group discussion and an interview. So which means that your past matters zilch. They don't care about where you've come from. They'd only focus on all those things which are ahead of you. And if you go ahead and get a great performance here in each one of these 3 stages, you are as good as in. And with that, since we are talking about UBS Chandigarh, this is a program affiliated with Punjab University. Let's also talk about the MBA offered by Pune University, which we fondly call it PUMBA. So PUMBA is also an excellent choice, and again 180 seats. In the last couple of years, the placements have actually seen a jump, which tells you that the program and the college is doing something extra to make their students even better equipped. The fees that they charge is around 2.5 lakhs. The average placement has gone up to almost 12 lakh rupees per annum, and the shortlisting happens on the basis of the qualifying exam, and they also don't have any interview. Right? So that's about PUMBA. So I've taken you through quite a few colleges which have amazing ROIs. Now, does that mean that we should not look at those conventional programs like your IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Bangalore and IIM? Not at all. So of course the fees that they charge is higher, but then their average placements are also significantly higher. Right? So when you put that data in that equation, they can still be very attractive for you. They can still, their scores would still go above 100, but then I don't need to sell I'm Ahmedabad, I'm Lucknow, Bangalore, Calcutta to you. You already know about those colleges, but here are some of those that you may not have heard of, and some that you do know. But then maybe there was some lacunae, some gap about how to get into those colleges. So now you are sure of that as well. So let me pause here and remind you once again that at the end of the day, your only limit is you. That's the only thing that counts. So quite a few of these colleges, of course, look at your academic background, but then there are quite a few that do not. So the areas which are not in your control, I would very strongly recommend that you ignore all those areas, forget about those, don't worry about those, just go ahead and focus on the stages that are ahead of you. If any of these colleges is attractive for you, if you think it is a good fit for somebody with your background and your aspirations, make sure that you do apply to these. And in case you need to know about more colleges, just hit us up and we would love to help you. That is it from me in this particular session. I'll see you in the next one now. Take care and have a great day ahead.